Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this special Sunday stream in the public space. My name is JF, and I am here with my host, Godspeed. Thank you for coming. Oh, thank you, JF. I appreciate you being on. Anytime, can we please hurry this up? I need to butter my mashed potato. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing on your Sunday? I'm assuming he's gonna throw some salt. Has it been amazing on your Sunday morning? Oh, I uh, I've been seeing a lot of big-brained individuals in my fucking mentions. I was so tired yesterday. I went to bed at like right after I got off that stream, and then I just crashed and I slept straight through to the morning, which is weird because I normally don't sleep more than a few hours a day. So I was just like, could this guy be serious? Is he trolling? There's no way people are this dumb. But his fans are the dumbest people I've ever met in my life. They make skeptics and people that support Kraut look intelligent. And I think it's because they don't really know how full of shit JF really is. So, would you guys like to see how full of shit he is? Yeah, I do enjoy bullying baked, Dick McBastard. I enjoy it a lot. I hate baked with a passion that I could only say is on par with the Palestinians and the Israelites. I don't like him at all. He's annoying. He has no spine. He has no consistency, and he'll make fun of Ashton Birdie, but then he'll date her a week later. It's like, if you're gonna be an asshole, stick by it. Quit being a pussy. So, chat, would you guys like to see why Andy was so mad last night? Because I'd love to show you. I'd love to show you what a piece of shit JF is. Let's see what a piece of shit JF is. I'm gonna show you guys this now. Just get up the webcam. There we go. I got Minicam open. Let's see. Is this working? Might have to delete this. We'll just start a new one. Uh, where's the webcam? Video capture device. Webcam. Alright, there we go. And we will make this uh, fit the screen. There we go. Can you guys see that okay? Uh, so is that good for you guys? Everybody can see it? Okay. Let's go ahead and we'll make this 1080p or 1440p. Which one do you guys want to do? 1440 or 1080? All right, we'll go with 1440. Uh, set it up as 60 frames a second, so it should be good. Minicam won't go up to 4K. It stops at 1440, but it will be at 60 FPS this time. All right, so Here we go. This is what JF was saying while Andy was in the middle of streaming last night.
What's this super chat about? Andy Warski in trouble. Andy Warski. Jared Alt, Jan article and Alze the sneaky. Jan Miles Chung act. Jan Miles Chung acts the victim. Ha ha ha. Jan Miles Chung tried to silence me. Leaks of Jared Holt slandering Warski. And so your super chat is, I think Andy needs some help, Jeff, like an intervention. He's doing everything wrong, but he's too goddamn dumb to realize it.
Let me get out my pretentious candy, which has to be like a toffee, because I just can't eat a piece of gum like a normal person.
The problem with Andy is that I cannot fix that. Andy, it's in his nature. He is an extroverted drama generator. He will generate drama. I mean, it will be his last breath. He's gonna generate drama in his last breath, and that's what he's good at. He's an emotional being in the world. Remember the song? I'm just a girl in the world, and that's all I'll ever be. Oh, I'm just a girl. Take a good look at me. I'm not saying that Andy Warski is a girl. I'm saying he has an emotional apparatus that is leading him to create foam around him in a way that is unsustainable. This is what I would tell Andy. There is an ecological limit to this. And you've already been going down, down, down. Now you're scratching the bottom limit of the internet. Because, why is that? Because the whole Jan Miles Chung thing. All right, a series of multiple hours of live stream. So that's one thing that Andy.
He's talking shit about Andy for doing a series about a fucking chink that tried to swat him. He wants to talk about wasting time, but yet he made a video that was 7 hours long ranting about the Irony Bros because they called him a potato fucker. The irony here is just so strong that it could be fucking bronzed and put in a museum.
Andy has improved on, you see? One live stream per day. This is how it's done. Okay, almost one per day. That is good. But the problem is, well, okay, not one per day. Here he skipped 4 days. The problem is, you need to do them about different things. Now, the Jan Miles Chung story was big enough. Why? Because there was a hidden conversation exposed. It involved Keemstar. It involved Mr. Metaker making a video about this. So you were kind of above the sewer, kind of right there in the limelight of the crap of the internet. The how could we call it? Oh no, I can't use this word. Anyway, it was acceptable because there were ways for Andy to pull on Mr. Mitaker and Keemstar, and the revelation itself, Jan Miles Chung, having secretly admitted that he had swatted Andy, big enough. Now, Andy, when he's emotional in these processes, he ends up making all sorts of threats. It's like, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna file a police report. And it's all good, but we've never seen that reach realization. Even the one thing that he promised, for example, beating Tonkasa in a MMA match, It did happen in the sense that Andy he got to the city to do the boxing match, but Tonkasa was not there. That's what happens when you are in such a cloud of unreliable people.
I don't see how he's in a cloud of unreliable people. He trained multiple times a week for 3 months and committed himself to actually seeing this through. He got licensed and he showed up for the fight. Tankasa didn't. So I don't know why JF is this fucking retarded and delusional. Oh, wait, I do. And we'll be going over why he is as mentally retarded as he is currently appearing on this stream. And believe me, you will laugh when you see what the official psychiatrist's explanation for JF's problems are.
That there's no way. There's no way things will happen. There's no way someone in this circle of the internet has the brains and the resources to maintain a lawsuit. Andy Warski.
Now, did you hear that? He just said that there is no way that somebody like Andy from this part of the internet did not have the brains or the resources to properly see out a lawsuit. Now, you will see that these words will be exactly why JF looks like a retard. Let's go back so he can say that again. I want you guys to listen very closely.
Way. There's no way things will happen. There's no way someone in this circle of the internet has the brains and the resources to maintain a lawsuit.
That right there will be something that will come back to bite JF in the ass after we finish listening to this. So he's saying that, and a lot of people are agreeing with him. Now they take him as some kind of authority at this point. Like he knows what he's talking about. Like he's some kind of genius. I can tell you right now, he's the dumbest fucking person I've ever met in my life. So, let's continue, and then we will show just how fucking stupid JF is. Because people don't know this, because he does a good job of hiding how dumb he actually is.
Andy Warski 1 week ago was begging for money because he had gotten his money stolen by Yan Miles Chung. He was in trouble. You're gonna make me believe that today, Andy Warski has the means to sue Right Wing Watch in court. Do you have any idea the efforts that you will need to deploy as a Canadian to sue Right Wing Watch? You're gonna have to start.
Well, I'm sure that you understand how much it costs to employ a lawyer. Oh, wait, you can't even afford a lawyer because every time you've been in court, you've represented yourself and lost. But you're going to give people advice on what it costs to get a lawyer. You know how much it costs because you lack the intelligence and means and actual ability to fucking represent yourself as your own lawyer because you're an idiot. Did you guys know that? This brainlet here who's telling people that Andy doesn't have the resources and the intelligence to go to court has lost several court cases. And I have them all here. I have all of them. I have the PDFs plus the court dockets that you guys can review. It's quite funny how JF is acting like he's some kind of genius here.
A lawsuit in Washington, D.C. against an office that is already ready to receive your lawsuit. You're going to call the lady, and I know all this because I've already done it. You're going to call the lady that's responsible for receiving, and you're going to call the, how do they call them? Freaking clerk. You're going to call the clerk of the court of a local district court. You're going to find that, okay, there is this district court, and it's the district court that will be the jurisdictional entity for Right Wing Watch. You're then going to ask, how do I file something? And she's going to tell you, well, we don't have a fax machine and you cannot send by mail. So you either have to come in person or you have to have the lawyer do it for you. You're going to make me believe that Andy Warski has the money to pay a Washington, D.C. lawyer for an extensive lawsuit involving some form of defamation, when in fact, the whole idea that Jared Holt has defamed Andy Warski legally is doubtful. Even semantically, it's doubtful. What is the claim here? Andy Warski claims I have committed stealthing. That is, I have disrupted a condom unknowingly to my partner with the goal of injecting my sperm in her against her consent.
Oh, you mean like how you lured a young girl away from her family with the mental age of a 10-year-old so that you could inject your sperm into her? And you're gonna take Andy making a joke about taking a condom off when he was fucking his girlfriend, who he continued to fuck after that and dated for many months after that, and call him basically a rapist? Wow, JF, you're a fucking genius.
Andy Warski makes this admission, and it was kind of a joke, so it's not a comedian pulls that kind of stuff. I'm not going to say I'm dissociating myself from Andy Warski, he's a rapist. No. But if you make the joke, you have to live with the consequences.
Gee, it's almost like his big-brained fans that have been defending him and claiming that JF never said anything like that. Wait, what did JF just say? Let's
The consequences dissociating myself from Andy Warski, he's a rapist. No. But if you make the joke, you have to live with the consequences.
I unmuted the wrong one. So, by JF's logic, Andy is a rapist because he made a joke. And because this guy wrote a fucking article where he basically said that Andy was an actual rapist, Andy should have to deal with that because he made a joke. That that is what JF just said. Now, I know a lot of people will argue, but here he is again. I'll replay it again.
I'm dissociating myself from Andy Warski, he's a rapist. No. But if you make the joke, you have to live with the consequences.
If you make the joke, you have to live with the consequences. How fucking stupid are his fans to sit here and argue that JF is not saying that fucking what he said was slander? He wrote an article where he accused Andy Worski of taking advantage and sexually assaulting a woman. It wasn't just the oh he pulled the condom off, it was he raped the girl. And JF just said that it's Andy's fault because Andy made the joke on the show. And these fucking idiots defend him like he's some genius.
The consequences is that if someone else says, look, I look at your stealthing act and it sounds like rape to me. I've not committed defamation. Here, Andy, why don't you not sue Right Wing Watch? Why don't you sue me? I'm going to say it right here. Sounds like rape to me.
Oh man. So now, not only is JF saying that Andy has no case and that he should have to deal with what he said because the guy just said it sounds like rape, but now JF himself is reaffirming the claim and saying that Andy raped this girl. Gee, I wonder why somebody would be so fucking upset because JF said this. JF just said, go ahead and sue me. It sounds like you raped her. But no, JF couldn't have said something like that. Oh no, there's so many big brain people that
It's not that
that are
there
gonna
are
claim he never said this. Well, let's go back. Let's go back and see what he
no
says.
sounds like rape to me. Here, Andy, why don't you not sue Right Wing Watch? Why don't you sue me? I'm gonna say it right here. Sounds like rape to me.
Wow, that sure is a very smart thing for you to say, JF. I gotta say, you are definitely a big brained guy. I can tell that you used to work at Duke.
It's not that there are no circumstances that can kind of make it look okay for Andy. You could say, well, his girlfriend stayed with him after, therefore she ended up consenting after the fact. Absolutely. But you can have women who stay with people who have raped them at some point, and then they are emotionally attached enough that they decide to stay with their aggressor. The fact is, I've not defamed Andy Warski by suggesting this, and even Jared Holt did not defame him.
Jared Holt did not defame Andy Worski. Let's see. Let's go back to this wonderful article so we can show these big brain nibbas just how dumb they are. YouTuber, beloved by the alt-right, bragged about sexually assaulting a drunk woman. So let's go ahead, we'll zoom this out, and we'll go ahead and we'll read this real quick. Andy Worski has risen to notoriety for catering to white supremacists. Bragged on livestream that he secretly removed a condom during sex with a drunk woman. The Daily Beast reported yesterday that the court documents reveal that white nationalist Andy Worski pays his co-hosts internet blood sports debate series. Blah 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 blah. They talk about JF for a little while. Here we go. Worski bragged about removing a condom during sex without the consent of his partner. So he had a condom on. They were having sex. He removed the condom, and they're saying that he had sex with her without the consent of her partner, but apparently she didn't care anyway. The condom was too tight. It was hurting my dick. She was drunk, so I pulled my dick out and I pulled the condom off. Before he claimed that he bought the Asian fit condoms that were too fucking constricting. So I roll it off and then I fucked her without the condom on. I was hammered, like I pulled it off and she was mad at me after. He then mocked the woman and laughed. The next day he said he was worried because he had seemingly sexually assaulted a drunk woman. Say over 7 years, Andy. Over 7 years is the answer, one chat participant joked. Then he continued to make a joke about how the fucking condom was, what, you've never pulled a condom off halfway through? So he's basically saying that Andy said that he sexually assaulted a girl. But it was a joke. It wasn't true. Andy was literally joking. This guy is claiming that Andy sexually assaulted a drunk woman. That is literally what the tagline says in the fucking article. They even put an editor's note saying that this post contains some language that people might find disturbing. To which Andy says, hey, this is a fucking joke. And he said, Jared Holt himself says, yeah, I know, but I'm not taking it down. That's what fucking Jared Holt said. I know it was a joke, but I'm not taking it down simply because it has already been up there too long and it's old. But for some reason, JF thinks that Andy has no case. But when you produce something like that, like an article in which you say that somebody sexually assaulted somebody, and you actually go on in the article to just claim that the guy made a joke about pulling a condom off, it's really weird. So for some reason, JF is trying to perpetuate this thing that he's a rapist. And now JF goes and makes a joke that Andy is a fucking rapist.
It's a fair characterization of what happens when you get an injection of sperm inside of you against your consent. It's not that I'm going to moral fag about it. I don't give a shit. You can stealth all you want. I'm not judging you morally, and I don't care that Andy Warski did that. But for him to be peddling bullshit like, oh, I have a leak of Jared Holt, and the supposed leak is simply a discussion on the phone between Andy Warski and Jared Holt, where he says, hey, yo, I found this pretty not cool what you did, like writing an article about me and the stealthing stuff. And now I have to explain this to people. And Jared
No, it wasn't like that. It was, hey, you wrote an article where you pretty much called me a rapist. I don't appreciate that. It was a joke. You know that it was a joke, and Jared Holt himself said, yeah, I know it is a joke, but I'm not correcting it. I'm not going to update the article that it was a joke and it was misinterpreted. I was wrong. Jared Holt won't do that. And his excuse was, well, it's an old article. And it never happened because Andy was joking. It wasn't something serious. He didn't just knock, like, they make it seem like he fucking whipped his dick out and started dicking down a girl that was passed out. It's kind of fucked up.
Holt didn't say anything. All he said in that phone conversation was, oh, I can understand that it's hurtful. The thing is, Jared Holt did not even commit an ethical transgression from the perspective of journalism. Now you have
Yeah, because you would know what it's like to talk about ethical transgressions and the position of journalism, JF. You know, the guy that was fired from Duke for having an inappropriate relationship with a student. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense, JF. You're really the moral compass on this. Not to mention the fact that you took $25,000 to fund your shitty show from a fucking convicted pedophile, but you're the one with the ethics, JF. Yeah, you didn't take that money from fucking Jeffrey Epstein, $25,000 for a guy that literally diddles kids, but you're the ethical compass here, right? You're a smart guy, JF. You're a big brain.
to be pretty fucking stupid to let Jared Holt write an article about you and not commit a journalistic ethics violation. It's like, you have to give him so much loose for his smearing to be actually true that you have to be so stupid as to think that you're going to reveal a story about you tearing apart a condom and make it and believe that you're going to get away with it without some people at least pointing out to the fact that, hey, technically it's fucking rape. And the big problem with this is not so much the deception that Andy is engaging in with himself when he makes up these drama things and these stories, which are unsustainable in the long run. The problem is the deception of the audience. It's that you are entering a relationship with your viewers whereby you are always on the next drama. Back in the days, it was the Sargon of Akkad liberalist trademark. Where did that go? Did it happen? Is there a liberalist Discord? No, it was a joke one night in which Andy promises ongoing flows of memes that don't happen. And when, by the way, Andy, a phone conversation that you recorded is not a leak. Leaks of Jared Holt slandering Warski. It's not a leak, and he's not slandering you. It's a phone conversation you had with him. So title your video correctly. If there's one thing you should have learned from my months at Warski Live, it would be not to deceive with the title. And so it's not a leak, it's a phone conversation you've had with Jared Holt in which you don't look particularly intelligent, and Jared Holt just he says nothing interesting, and he does not slander you. And now I am suing Right Wing Watch and Jared Holt. What are you going to sue them for? Do you know what are the conditions for malicious intent in defamation suits in Washington, D.C.? I know, because I know the laws of this country, and of countries around it, and of the US, and of the specific states, and I know the legal history. I know the case.
Okay, let's just stop it there. Now, for one thing, there's a lot of retards that are in the chat that are claiming that, JF never said that he got money from Jeffrey Epstein.
That they were actually regularly seen together during the
Let's listen to this.
1990s. And as I told you last week or the week before, a federal judge in New York has ordered a hearing in December about this case. This story, Pat, sort of proves that the media is out to get Trump theory is total BS. Because if corporate media wanted to take down Trump, they would be covering this story, and they would have been covering this story for months. Instead, yeah, they talk about the sexual assault allegations. This is very
By the way, this makes me think I should be transparent about this. You guys may not know, but Jeff Epstein, who we're talking about here, was an original founder to my YouTube channel. Now, it's not that I give a shit about this guy, okay? He got arrested after, and the fact that he donated to my channel at the very beginning of my YouTube career does not influence me. I'm not trying to find Jeff Epstein innocent in what he's been accused of, and I'm merely reviewing this video for the Donald Trump aspect of it, and particularly for the rational aspects of David Pakman in processing this. But
Oh, that's so weird. I could have swore I saw some JF defenders in the chat claiming that JF never said that he took money from fucking Jeffrey Epstein, who's a convicted fucking pedophile. It's weird. He took $25,000 from a convicted pedophile. But let's go back to this, because, again, I want you guys to hear JF say this one more time.
in defamation suits in Washington, D.C., I know, because I know the laws of this country and of countries around it, and of the US, and of the specific states, and I know the legal history. I know the case. I know the cases from the Supreme Court, from the Court of Appeals. And I know this fucking clerk in Washington, D.C. does not accept facts. Although she's
Okay, so JF is claiming that he's an authority on the law and that he knows things. So let's see what an authority JF is on the law. Let's bring up when he tried to fight the state of North Carolina about the custody of his child. Let's get a drink here. Is this clear enough for you guys? Should I zoom in a little bit more? Yeah, maybe. I don't know how to make this clear. Let's go with 1080p. No, it looks like shit. We'll go with 1440p. Okay. Appeal from the defendant from ordered entered 31st of March 2017 by Judge Brian C. Wilkes. Jean-François Gariépy, father, appeals from a permanent custody order in which the trial court awarded sole physical and legal custody to his child, to his ex-wife, Jacqueline Newton, and denied father visitation. Father also appeals from a previous temporary custody order which ordered the father to undergo a full psychological evaluation. For the following reasons, we reaffirm. In 2015, the mother and father were married. The couple separated approximately 6 months later. 6 months later. He couldn't make a marriage last more than 6 months. And he's telling Andy that Andy is crazy or something like that, which I find kind of funny. No, I don't know why it's so shitty on OBS. Let's go with full. We'll enable buffering. We'll set up full stuff. Resolution, custom. Match the highest FPS. That should be good. Wow, it's it disappeared now. Seriously, fuck device default. Yeah, for some reason I can't set a higher FPS than this. I don't know why. I think it's just OBS not working right with Manycam. Doesn't matter because I'm reading it anyway. Anyways, in December 2015, after the parties separated, the mother gave birth to their child. Shortly after the child's birth, the mother was granted temporary sole physical and legal custody of the child through an ex parte order. The trial court entered 2 subsequent temporary custody orders, both of which granted the mother sole physical and legal custody of the child and also denied the father visitation. So he was denied visitation by the state. Because the capture window never fucking works. Like, anytime I've tried to do it, it just doesn't capture right. Like, I'll try it right now. It never works. It always comes up black no matter what I do. See? And even when I set it to OpenGL, it never works. It doesn't work right with my card. Okay. Also, the father was ordered to engage in a full-scale evaluation with a court-designated psychologist. Just listen to this. A court-designated psychologist who conducted the evaluation of the father expressed concern regarding the father's serious mental health issues. Serious mental health issues. Oh, you know what? I could do a browser thing, but I don't know how to scroll down on the browser thing, so I can't scroll down on it. Um, I don't care. I'll just read it. Anyways, continuing. Here we go. Serious mental health issues, emotional and interpersonal relationship skills, and a lack of self-control. So not only did the court-approved psychologists say that JF was mentally incapable of handling himself, but that he had severe emotional and interpersonal relationship skill issues, as well as a lack of self-control. So they're literally saying, from a psychologist standpoint, that JF is mentally disturbed, which is kind of weird. In a 2016 report, in part based on the psychologist's report, the trial court entered the temporary custody order. In March 2017, after a hearing on the matter, the trial court entered a permanent custody order granting sole physical and legal custody of the child and denying the father visitation. The trial court made the following findings, in fact, to support this order. You don't have to read it, Onion Wizard. I'm fucking reading it. Are you retarded? This court remains severely concerned over the father's mental health status. This court remains concerned over the father's ability to follow the procedures associated with the supervised visitation and his ability to follow this court's orders. So, the state of North Carolina finds that JF is so crazy that they will not allow him to take custody of his child, let alone be anywhere near his child. The defendant has not adequately even addressed his mental health issues since the release of this evaluation. So not only did the state of North Carolina say that JF is not capable of taking care of a child, but that he is so mentally unable to fucking handle the fact that he has severe emotional and interpersonal issues and a severe disconnect from reality. But that when they told him about this, he didn't even bother to address it or even get help. They told him that he's literally crazy. And his response to that was, well, you're violating my First Amendment rights, and you're denying my ability to speak. Yeah, the court approved psychologist did a full-scale psychiatric assessment of JF and said that he is fucking nuts. The court continues to have severe concerns over his ability to provide a safe and healthy environment for the child. It is within the child's best interest that the permanent legal and physical custody be placed solely with the mother, and that the mother is fit and is the proper person to exercise sole legal and sole physical custody of the minor child, with the father not having any visitation. The father has timely appealed this permanent order. Standard review. The record, they went ahead and he tried to cite all these child custody laws. The father brings a number of arguments regarding the report from the psychologist who conducted the court-ordered evaluation of the father. This report was entered into evidence at the temporary custody hearing. In its temporary custody order, the trial court noted a number of recommendations made by the psychologist for the father to follow. Nothing in the record shows that the father objected to the admission of the report at the temporary custody hearing. The father did not appeal the temporary custody order, which relied upon the report. At the permanent custody hearing, the father admitted that he had not complied with any of the recommendations made by the psychologist at the report. Based on its prior order and the father's failure to address his psychological issues, the trial court entered a permanent custody order, which is the subject of this appeal. We have reviewed the father's argument from the report by the court-ordered psychologist and conclude that the trial court did not commit a reversible error in regards to the matters pertaining to the report. Essentially, the father argues that the report constitutes improperly admitted hearsay and that the opinions of the psychologist do not comply with Rule 702 Rules of Evidence, State versus McGrady. However, the record shows that the report was offered into evidence at the temporary custody order and does not indicate that the father ever objected to the consideration of this report by a trial court at that hearing. Therefore, any objection to the trial court's consideration of the report that the temporary custody hearing was waived. Here is the funny part. The record shows that the subsequent permanent custody hearing, the trial court did not specifically rely on the report per se, but rather on a prior temporary custody order, which makes reference to the psychologist's report. So he had a fucking mental breakdown and tried to argue with people about a fucking thing. But here's another thing that they found. Findings regarding the father's relationship with the child. In a permanent custody order, the trial court made 59 findings of fact. 59. 59 findings of fact that fucking JF is mentally unfit to take care of his own child and is severely psychologically disturbed. Father challenges the findings that relate to his relationship with the child and mother, findings regarding his mental health, and findings regarding his personal accountability for the proceedings under custody litigation. Father argues that these findings were not supported by evidence in the record. North Carolina general statutes provide that any order of custody shall include such terms as will best promote the interest and welfare of the child. After a careful review of the record, we conclude that the findings of the facts by the trial court are sufficiently supported by competent evidence. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 7B-905, the trial court properly considered the evidence that it found to be relevant, reliable, and necessary to determine the needs of the child. We find no reversible error based on the father's arguments. Now, he continued to argue about different things, and here is my favorite part, the conclusion. The trial court did not abuse its discretion or otherwise commit a reversible error in denying the father's request for a shared legal and physical custody of the child, in determining that the mother be granted sole legal and physical custody of the minor and denying father visitation. Therefore, we affirm the trial court's order. But then they give a little example. For example, the father argues on the appeal that the trial court violated his First Amendment rights by allowing questions to be asked in the custody of hearing regarding statements. The father made online videos in pages on social media pages. Clearly, the First Amendment does not apply here. Free speech protections do not apply in a case because the court is not impeding the defendant's exercise of free speech. Therefore, we find the argument to be without merit. Here, the political position expressed by the father about the violations of rights that occur in family courts against men are completely irrelevant to whether or not he is a fit parent. Also, the father challenges the trial court's finding in which he called the mother and her counsel evil bitches. We find there was sufficient evidence on the record from which the trial court can conclude that the defendant made these statements. So not only did they get all of his fucking rants on YouTube and Twitter about his ex-wife, But he also went and he cried about the courts and shit talked them, but then he went back to them and tried to appeal it. It's quite weird how this guy is saying something as dumb as, I don't know, let's go back.
From the supreme countries around condition not slander you. And now I am suing Right Wing Watch and Jared Holt. What are you going to sue them for? Do you know what are the conditions for malicious intent in defamation suits in Washington, D.C.? I know, because I know the laws of this country.
You know the laws of this country, huh, JF?
And of countries around it, and of the U.S., and of the specific
And of the U.S.?
states, and I know the legal history. I know the case. I know the laws of this country and of countries around it, and of the U.S., and of the specific states, and I know the legal history. I know the case. I know the laws of this country and of countries around it, and of the U.S., and of the specific states, and I know the legal history. I know the case.
He knows the case. Now let's go ahead. There's another case that he's having that I have access to. It's a case 09-16-00-23293, and it was just closed out. He's continuing to appeal the sole custody of the child. Actually, this appeal for the case he just lost in court just a few months ago, in August. He was denied access to his child and told to fuck off by the state of North Carolina. So he claimed that he won that case, and that he this is what he told Andy. He told Andy he won the case, and that he decided that he was not going to pursue it after that. So he lost this case, but he knows the law. He's a genius when it comes to law. By the way, he represented himself in this case. He tried to go against the state of North Carolina by himself and tried to cite random case law with no understanding of the law and got blown the fuck out by an actual lawyer. What a fucking genius. Big brain guy. So, we're going to go back to him trying to take advantage of a potato. When her family found out what JF was doing, when he found out that she was being lured away from her home and he was being pulled away from, he was leading her to come live with him, he decided that he was going to do a writ of mandamus. And a writ of mandamus is where you command the judge to follow an order to the best view of what the law is. So he believed that he could use this really old, archaic form of contacting the judge to kind of push the court into his favor. But he had no idea what he was doing. So her family hired a fucking law firm to do this. JF tried to go head to head against a full legal team from a major law firm and got fucking destroyed. So JF wrote this petition for a writ of mandamus. Let's go ahead and pull this writ up. He goes ahead and let's get down to the part where it says identities and part of the table of contents, statement of the case. We'll get to page 8. That's the statement of the case. The underlying proceeding is a probate court for the proceeding of guardianship of a 19-year-old adult woman who is allegedly incapacitated. The mother of the proposed ward, Miss Marcia Castellanos, has applied for an ex parte temporary guardianship, allowing her to move her daughter from her permanent place of residence in North Carolina, where she lives with her fiance, back to Texas. She's now applying for permanent guardianship order in Texas. The judge, Jeff Brannick, sitting in the county court of Jefferson, Texas. The relator is seeking relief from the actions of Judge Jeff Brannick in this case, which is numbered 115533, in which they denied his intervention from the relator, keeping him from participating in the proceedings that relate to the guardianship of his fiance. So he says that he doesn't think he has an issue with the fact that the judge said that he had no right to intervene, and that it's not his current domestic partner, fiance, and future mother of his child. So his claim was that she is an adult who freely chose to come and live with him, that they had a relationship that developed over 3 months. He signed an affidavit in which he claimed that they promised to marry each other and had an oral commitment since January, and that she is currently carrying his child. Apparently, several registered documents in North Carolina, including her health insurance, auto insurance, and everything, was handled by JF alone. In which her mother found it weird because why would she need any of that if JF was taking care of her? So JF continued to argue that her mother had no right to intervene, and that she's trying to control the woman's life, and that it's not fair, and that it's stipulated under no live testimony under oath has influenced this decision to strike the motion to intervene, since the decision was taken on the pleadings of an affidavit, and that no one ever called a witness. So JF is trying to claim that her family had no right to intervene, that a trial court has no discretion in determining what law is or what law is applying to the facts, and that the state of Texas engaged in a clear failure by trial court to analyze or apply the law correctly, which will constitute an abuse of discretion. And then he cites multiple cases regarding custody. Furthermore, in cases involving child custody, justice demands a speedy resolution. So he makes an appeal that he should have custody of a 19-year-old girl by citing child custody laws that he became aware of when he's trying to argue for the custody of his own child. And then he wonders why they will not give him custody of this young girl. In the current case, the possibility that the proposed ward may be pregnant, and the evidence indicating that she has made this reproductive choice without constraint, invites to carefulness in providing the right to abort against the will of her parents, independently from whether or not she is found to be partially incapacitated. So he goes to argue that because she's pregnant, that her family does not deserve to have any kind of say over where she is or how her mental health. That her family does not have the right to protect her from somebody like JF. That is quite weird that he's trying to cite child custody laws for a reason for why he should be able to have sex with a girl that's mentally incapacitated and force her to have a child. He goes on and on and on, and it's literally 26 pages of just garbage about how her family has no right to step in. It's fucking 26 pages long. And it sounds absolutely retarded when you read it. So this didn't last very long. It lasted about, what was it? It started August 29th, and it was wrapped up by the 20th of October. He couldn't even last 6 weeks against an actual law firm because he's a moron. So they submitted a fucking response to this, and the response is golden. Let's just load this up. This is their response. The realtor who files his petition for a writ of mandamus complains that striking his intervention by the judge as an individual is actually an individual who lured a young woman from another state so that he could admittedly try to have a baby with her, while at the same time he was married to another woman who had just had a baby. So while JF is in court fighting this other woman who has left him, claiming that he's psychologically unstable, he brings another woman from a different state and tries to impregnate her. And then he wonders why they don't want her to have to be anywhere near him. These actions of the realtor are even more disturbing considering the mountain of factual evidence attached to this response that is in the record. That the ward is completely disabled and unable to understand the nature of her circumstances, who now wants nothing to do with the realtor. By the way, the realtor is JF. She wants nothing to do with him. The relator's entire mandamus proceeding seems to hinge heavily on the fact that he believes the ward is pregnant. The ward is not pregnant, and this was stated on the record in the original hearing. See Appendix 1, page 5, lines 1 to 2, transcript of hearing. There is no evidence that the ward is pregnant. The relator believes that the ward is pregnant simply because he had relations with her after he lured her out of her parents' house to another state. The offense that Honorable Jeff Brannick suggested may actually be a crime. See Appendix 1, page 3, lines 15 to 22, transcript of hearing. The relator also continues to call the ward his fiancée, in which he is already married to another woman in Northern Carolina. So, he is trying to engage in an act of partnership with a girl that is mentally enfeebled, while he is still not divorced the other girl in North Carolina that he's having a custody battle with. He's still married to her. Which, by the way, the only reason he's trying to get with this girl is because he's looking for an anchor baby. Because when he got told that he had to leave the country because their marriage was dissolving, he immediately tried to jump into bed with this girl because he knew that she was mentally incapable of taking care of herself, and that if they had a baby and he was married to her, that he could stay in America. This guy is literally fucking nuts. So, the attachments for the application and appointment of temporary guardianship of the person establish that there is a child custody case ongoing, but no divorce proceeding has been filed. See Exhibit B of the application for the appointment of temporary guardianship of the person. So he's trying to claim that he is a fiance to this girl that is mentally enfeebled, but they just went and they got the proof that he has not even filed or petitioned for the dissolving of his previous marriage. So he can't use this law of him being her fiance because he is still in another marriage at the time. This is how fucking retarded JF is. He's trying to cite random laws and manipulate small courts into giving him custody over a girl that's mentally disabled. And this law firm pulled all the stops out and destroy him. A relator filed a motion to intervene, which was properly denied by the trial court pursuant to Texas Estate Code Section 1055.003. The relator cannot establish that the trial court abused its discretion because there are multiple factual disputes and issues. The relator has an adequate appellate remedy. Therefore, the relator is not entitled to mandamus relief. Here they go. Here's the statement of facts for why JF is a fucking idiot. The guardianship proceeding was initiated by the ward's parents when the relator lured the ward to his home in North Carolina in the attempt to have a baby with her. The ward has been declared incapacitated by a qualified psychiatrist's report in the application for the appointment of permanent guardianship of the person. See Appendix 2, Exhibit A, Dr. Rosa Gonzalez's report. The relator now seeks to overturn the Judge Jeff Brannick's decision to deny the relator's motion to intervene. Real party and interest denies and challenges the facts of the relator's statement of facts, which are contained in his own affidavit and are not actual evidence at all. The real party in interest asserts that the ward is not and has never not been the relator's fiance. The ward is not pregnant and there is no planned abortion. The relator has no divorce proceedings on file in North Carolina where he proceeds. The relator has no evidence that she is pregnant. So you can see right now that this law firm has done their due diligence. They probably have a full team of paralegals that are just pulling everything they can because it's well within their own legal right to check and see if JF has actually divorced this girl, to see if there's any cases that they can use to make him look like a bad person so that they could show that he does not have the ability to take care of this girl and that he's the least likely person that could be able to take care of her. The most important facts of the case come from ad litem's report, which is filed under seal and is still under seal with this court in the application for the appointment of permanent guardianship of this person, which contains a psychiatrist's report from Dr. Rosa Gonzalez, which complies with the requirements under Texas Estate Code. After the hearing held on August 17, 2016, the Honorable Jeff Brannick took judicial notice of both the ad litem report and the application for the appointment of permanent guardianship of the person. The application for the appointment of temporary guardianship of the person contains a report from Dr. Mark Thompson, which states as follows. The ward demonstrates the social and mental maturity of a 10 or 11-year-old child. She has no comprehension of cause and effect relationships and is often known to have impaired decision making. So, this is not only one psychiatrist, this is two court ordered psychiatrists that are saying this girl is completely mentally disabled and unable to take care of herself at all. See Exhibit A to the application for the appointment of temporary guardianship of this person. The application for temporary guardianship of this person also contains child custody records for the legal proceeding in North Carolina that show that the relator is aggressive towards women, unstable, and obsessed with having women to have his child. So not only is he this stupid that he tried to go against a fucking full law firm to try and get custody of this girl, but they went ahead and they had their fucking paralegals go and pull his previous court cases where he has reports of assault, and they also went back and they got all of his custody hearings where they show that he's psychiatrically a full team of psychiatric people determined that JF is completely incapable of taking care of himself, violently aggressive, and completely nuts, and has made no attempts to take care of himself. But they got all of this, and they made sure to bring that to this case. They claim that he is completely aggressive towards women, unstable, and obsessed with having women to have his child, and they have exhibits to show this fact. The report for the attorney ad litem under seal of this court states that the ward has a long-standing diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder and is currently scared of the relator and is no longer contesting the guardianship. So they feel that she has been intimidated into doing what JF wants, and now that she's being protected by the state, she can say confidently that she is being forced into this relationship. See the report of attorney ad litem, pages 2 to 9. In fact, in a recent hearing for the application, the ward appeared with the attorney and told the judge that she agreed to the guardianship outright. The attorney ad litem reported that the relator did not have the ward's best interest in mind and that his primary focus is on having a baby and not on her best interest. See the report on page 12. The application for the appointment of permanent guardian of the person contains a statutory psychiatric report from Dr. Rosa Gonzalez. She is the psychiatrist who examined Ward and believes that she's incapacitated and unable to take care of herself. In pages 3, 10, and 11 of the report, she also expressed concerns over the relator's motives and judgment, seemingly taking advantage of a young, mentally challenged woman. So now, two court-ordered psychiatrists have said that JF is clearly going out of his way to take advantage of her. At the hearing, the Honorable Judge Jeff Brannick asserted that he also believed that relator may have committed a crime for taking advantage of a disabled person. In the transcript of the hearing on page 13, lines 15 to 22, an order was also signed on the application for the permanent guardianship of the person, which terminated the temporary guardianship of the real party in interest, Marcia Castellanos, and appointed her the permanent guardian. Ward consented and appeared to have no objection to the guardianship. Undersigned counsel requests that the appellate court review the documents establishing what has actually taken place in the matter and not just the self-serving, delusional facts put forward by the relator. Delusional. They called him delusional. A full fucking law firm in the state of Texas said that JF was delusional.
I know as of this country. Do you know what are the conditions for malicious intent in defamation suits in Washington, D.C.? I know, because I know the laws of this country and of countries around it and of the U.S. and of the specific states, and I know the legal history. I know the case. I know the cases from the Supreme Court, from the Court of Appeals, And I know this fucking clerk in Washington, D.C. does not accept facts.
You can see the anger in his voice. He knows that the clerk does not accept facts. He's speaking not from knowledge of the law, but from the fact that he's getting dunked on by a law firm and how they said that he is that he uses self-serving delusional facts in his statements. He wrote a 26-page writ of mandamus demanding that the state of Texas give him the right to fuck a girl that is mentally incapable of making her own decisions. The realtor is not entitled to mandamus relief because the realtor has not provided the court with evidence or a clear argument to why he would be entitled to it. The realtor cites law from child custody cases, but this is not a child custody case. The realtor cites Texas Rule of Civil Procedure 60 on interventions, but he completely ignores the fact that there is a unique intervention rule that relates to guardianships in Texas Estate Code, which is going to be discussed below. Most of the realtor's argument is based on the fact that he believes that he is the ward's fiance, and that he also believes that the ward is pregnant, neither of which are factually true, and neither of which give you the ability to provide mandamus relief, even if they were true. So not only is JF claiming random fucking child custody laws and a state law, but that he's trying to claim facts and abilities and authority through law that aren't provided by the laws. So he's so delusional that he's claiming that he has a right to things that he doesn't, and claiming that he has an authority over law, which he has no fucking clue what he's talking about. So he was denied immediately because they said that his statement lacks standing. And it was under the trial court's discretion that they denied him. The realtor's motion to intervene, the trial court has broad discretion, but the realtor must show that the mandamus proceeding, the trial court abused its discretion. The mandamus must show that he has a clear legal right in the performance of this act. If the right depends on the facts that are doubtful or disputed, the mandamus will not issue. So the mandamus issues to correct a clear abuse and discretion of an adequate appellate remedy. So they're claiming flat out that all of the realtor's arguments as to why the trial court abused its discretion involve the resolution of factual disputes, which is not appropriate for mandamus relief. The realtor also has an adequate appellate remedy. The realtor never provides a good basis for arguing that he does not have an adequate appellate remedy. In the probate matter, it's not necessary for the order to fully dispose of the entire probate proceeding. The order needs to only conclusively decide the controversy for which the particular proceeding was brought. So he continues, they go ahead and they literally break down over the next 2 pages all of the things that he cited for 25 pages and say that he's a fucking idiot and correct him on everything that he cites. That the court has previously cited Crossan versus Womble, Peggy Bowie cause 09-08-11CB. Additionally, the facts as they relate to the realtor's actions and mental capacity of the ward weigh heavily in the factor of striking the realtor's motion to intervene and the denial of his mandamus. The relief the realtor is now requesting is moot because the temporary guardianship proceeding is over and the permanent guardianship is complete. And then they go ahead and they say that he has no right to claim this. So he tried to go head-to-head with a law firm and got completely destroyed. In which the judgment was issued by the courts, and their judgment was that he was outright denied. So he claimed to Andy that he got into a fight with her father and that they fought it out in court and he won. But he didn't because he lost. He got completely destroyed by a full law firm in which he claimed that he was some kind of fucking law authority and got destroyed. And, there's a lot of people that will, defend JF and claim that he's an okay guy. And, he had this whole thing about how as many as learned these actions in my past. I did make love to many women in my life, and I do it again. All I want to do is have a child. I did pursue a case in the Court of Appeals that they tried to interview with my ability to care for one of my children. But he actually had a conversation with Destiny about this. I don't know if you guys saw this one.
I don't care about your moral offense, you piece of shit.
Sure, you don't have to care about my moral offense because the court already agreed with me about the moral offense that this girl did not have
No,
the two independent psychiatrists evaluated this girl. The first said that she had the social and mental skills of a 10 to 11-year-old child, and the second one said that she wasn't fit to make the decision to leave and live with you and have a child, which is obviously evidenced by the fact that she had no income. She didn't know if you had income. She had never lived on her own before, and despite all of this, you convinced her to leave her family without a word to join you and make a baby.
Destiny, may I
yeah,
just
that's
throw
called love, you idiot.
That's called
God,
love, but a
Destiny?
Yeah,
19-year-old girl? Sorry, go
May,
ahead.
yeah, a
may,
19-year-old
I
girl
want to.
can love, you idiot.
You idiot! It's called love. When I lure a 19-year-old girl across straight state lines to have sex with her, it is called love, you idiot. There is also one where they actually had a memorandum. I think it's the memorandum opinion after this. Let me double. I read it last night, where they cite the law, and no, I can't find it right now. But they talk about. I talked about it on Andy's show, where they reveal parts of the case where they asked her if she would be able to take care of herself, and she had no response. They were like, "What do you think about being a mom?" And she just trailed off, and then started talking about how she liked cats and how she took care of her animals. She mentally is like a 10-year-old girl. And he's like, that is laugh. Say that again.
I don't care about your moral offense, you piece of shit.
Sure, you don't have to care about my moral offense because the court already agreed with me about the moral offense that this girl did not have
No,
the two independent psychiatrists evaluated this girl. The first said that she had the social and mental skills of a 10 to 11-year-old child, and the second one said that she wasn't fit to make the decision to leave and live with you and have a child, which is obviously evidenced by the fact that she had no income. She didn't know if you had income. She had never lived on her own before, and despite all of this, you convinced her to leave her family without a word to join you and make a baby.
Destiny, may I
yeah,
just
that's
throw.
called love, you idiot.
That's called
God,
love, but a
Destiny,
Yeah,
19-year-old girl? Sorry, go
may,
ahead.
yeah, a
may,
19-year-old
I
girl
want to.
can love, you idiot.
You idiot. A 19-year-old girl can laugh. By the way, honest autistic women are dedicated to the success in the sex sphere. Autistic pussy is the best pussy, you idiot. Can't you tell? It's called love. Autistic women are the best thing to have in the success of the sex sphere to spread my seed. He's insane. He's literally insane. I think I'm trying to look for where they say it, but there is a fucking response where they show this. Where the fuck is it? Is this the relative response? Mother. Where is it? Where the hell is it? I'm looking for the one where they talk about how they interviewed her. I had it last night and I read it and it was very interesting. Maybe it's in the original response. Fuck, it's not there. I don't know which one it was, but it was in their original response to him. They filed a letter of memorandum where they talk about how when they interviewed her that she was so mentally incapacitated that she couldn't even respond to the questions they were asking her. Like she was that far gone. Is this it? Is it the RPI response from the real party and interest? Uh, Might be. Yeah, this might be it. I like how at the bottom they said that the realtor is not established that he's entitled to the extraordinary relief of mandamus. If he had his way, he could take advantage of a disabled young lady whose parents have come to seek and protect their daughter. What a great guy. Oh my God, where is that? Where is the thing where they talk about how they interviewed her? I know I fucking read that last night. It was hilarious. Oh, where is it? Letter filed. I know I read it last night. Fuck, I remember reading this. Oh they have the appendix in this. I didn't even see this one. This one's way longer. They have the actual court case, the actual court documents that we can review. Maybe they have the assessment. Oh, oh, this actually has the fucking the shit written by the stenographer in this. So let's zoom out and review this. I didn't see this one. Apparently JF was there for this. Court sign this. Oh, here we go. As the court knows, we filed this application and we asked for a restraining order because the proposed ward had gone to North Carolina to live with Mr. Gariépy. At the time, they were concerned for her safety. They were concerned because Mr. Gariépy is married. He is in the middle of a custody dispute, and he's made all intentions known throughout all the various pleadings that he's filed in this court that he's been trying to have a baby with her. The court signed a temporary. Oh, he had a restraining order filed against him. I didn't know about this. I wouldn't have known if I didn't find this part. They filed a fucking restraining order against him. The TRO was served in North Carolina. They got Jackie and brought her back to Texas, where she's lived since then. Miss Nicole's report clearly states that Jackie is not contesting the guardianship. Her report states that she is frightened of Mr. Gariépy. She is concerned she is not pregnant, and this is a fact. At this point, we know that. And we don't believe that there's any reason that Mr. Gariépy should even be here. Essentially, this is an uncontested temporary guardianship set on an uncontested matter. Were it not for the various motions filed by Mr. Gariépy, we're not asking for a temporary injunction. The TRO was already served. It expires today. So essentially, the restraining order is moot at this point. She's not here. A motion to waiver of appearance was filed by her. I think the report lays it out. Ms. Nichols can talk directly, but I think her report lays it out, as well as the report by Dr. Gonzalez, that she's totally incapacitated. She does not have the ability to make decisions. She's originally fearful when she got here. She was not eating or drinking because she thought she was pregnant, even though she wasn't. All the result of her being with Mr. Gariépy. So not only was he intimidating this young woman and bullying her into going along with his story, but he had her completely traumatized to the point where she was afraid to eat. I think the appropriate thing to do is Mr. Gariépy has filed several motions. That has to be he has to be addressed and his motion intervened. If the motion is denied that he doesn't have any right to participate in these proceedings, we can proceed in our state with the proof of facts, oath to be done, and move on where it was or not for his motions. I think that his motions should be dealt with, and that he has a bunch of other motions that basically stream from the fact that he's had to deal with the TRO. So his original claim for Mandemus was that uh, this court in Texas denied his right to cross-reference her because he felt that he should be able to bring a girl that is mentally incapacitated, put her on the stand, and bully her. That was his original plan. His original claim for mandamus, when you get to like the 20th page, is that the court system in Texas denied him the right to interview a witness. So he wanted to cross-reference and bully this girl on the stand so that he could intimidate her into saying what he wanted her to say on the stand in front of a trial court so that he could claim that he had her best interest at heart. The court already knew that that she had nothing to do with this, that she should never have been brought in front of the trial court because he was just going to intimidate her. So here we go. Blah 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 blah. They continue to argue that he shouldn't even be allowed to be involved, that he's just filing motions to pull himself into this. Apparently the guy had eye surgery. The judge, he gets completely dunked on. Where's this part? And in doing this, only two things you have to consider is will his intervention unduly delay or prejudice education of the party's rights. He does not have an adverse relationship with the proposed ward, so it is unduly prejudiced the education of the original party's rights. His right to appear basically with an attorney ad litem who agrees that Jackie, the proposed ward, also agrees. That is why she is not here. To appoint Mr. Castellanos, her mother, as the temporary guardian. Now, the two reasons why he says that an intervener is he says that she is his fiance. He is married. He is married. And we filed those documents with our application of temporary guardianship. There is no divorce proceeding on file. So I don't think that he can really be a fiance. At least in the state of Texas, if he is still married to somebody else and there is no divorce proceedings. They do have a custody dispute on file, and it has been determined that he can't see that child and that they have their own custody battle going on based on the fact that he wants to have a baby, or that he wants that baby. But he is not a fiance. The second thing he says, which can give some credence if it were true, was that she is pregnant. She is not pregnant. She's had a urine test, she's had a blood test now, and they've both come back and say the fact that she is not pregnant. We know that. She is not pregnant. She is not here because she is afraid of him. She does not want to be here, and this could have been proceeded without contest were it not for his intervention. I don't see that he has any right to intervene. I don't think that he is the proper party. I don't think he has followed the statute, and I think that he wants the right to convince Jackie to go back to North Carolina so that he can have a baby with her for his own interests, if not for anybody else. And I would ask the court right off the bat, before we get to any other motions, to deny his motion to intervene and let us proceed with the temporary guardianship. Here's the best part. He was there during this. JF tried to argue with a full law firm in open court. The court, I'm ready to hear your response to Mr. Schneider's argument regarding your standing in the matter. I'll do JF's voice. Yes, my name is Jean-François Gariépy. I filed a motion to intervene. I'm sorry if I didn't file the motion that was called the motion of contest, but I consider that I was contesting within my content of my motion to intervene, as well as within my own affidavit. I am contesting that Jacqueline isn't incapacitated. The judge says, contesting what? I'm contesting that Jacqueline isn't incapacitated. The judge says, we don't get to that issue until you assert some level of understanding and ability or some kind of relationship with her that gives you the right to even show up here. So the judge at this point is immediately annoyed with him because he's an idiot. Okay, so I'm her fiance and we were trying to make a baby. We've been living together for 3 weeks. We've been together promising loyalty to each other since January 2016. This is what I mentioned in my motion to intervene in my affidavit. Is it true you are still married? The judge asks. Yes, so it's a real promise that after I am divorced and the divorce proceedings are started, after I am divorced, we will marry. The judge says, so all of your standing is based upon your belief that you're the fiance of Jacqueline Castellanos. His response was, yes, as well the proof is in the exhibits that I attached to the affidavit that she is living with me, that we have registered our health insurance and our home and our car insurance, so she is my domestic partner. The judge says, I don't know what the laws are in North Carolina, but in Texas, a married man cannot have a relationship with another individual that confers legal standing upon them. Well, in our case, we are separated, so my ex-wife or my wife consents to each of us having other relations because our relationship is over. So JF is saying that his ex-wife can fuck anybody that she wants because she's left him, so he's not going to contest that. Well, it may be emotionally, but it's not legally if you haven't got a divorce. Now, here's where the lawyer goes right after him. If you look at our pleadings, Your Honor, you'll see that we attach a temporary guardianship, which we recovered from Mr. Gariépy's wife's lawyer. So they contacted his wife's lawyer. There are no divorce proceedings on file. There are custody proceedings on file, but they have intentionally, for whatever reason, dealing with Mr. Gariépy's seeking status, or the fact that he may or may not be here illegally, there is no divorce proceedings on file. He's married. There's nothing on file which states that his wife is even asking for a divorce. The court said, I find that Mr. Gariépy's motion to intervene is that he lacks standing. Therefore, I will not grant that, and I will proceed to hear the testimony on the application for the appointment of the guardian. Then they bring in people to defend her. And they put her mother on the stand, and they continue to ask why she's applying for guardianship and what she's doing. So they eventually get guardianship of her, and then on page 13, here's the crazy part. Here's what the judge says. I've signed the order appointing Ms. Castellanos temporary guardian of the person, fulfilling my obligation under the rules of judicial contact by letting the district attorney's office know that there's a potential for an individual to have taken advantage of an incapacitated individual by exercising coercion or other means taking advantage of them, and will let the district attorney's office know and let them do whatever they wish. And then he adjourned. So they're saying at this point that JF is a rapist and that they're letting the district attorney's office know that he forcefully coerced a mentally disabled girl into having sex with him. So you want to call Andy Worski a rapist? If anything, you're a rapist, JF, because you forced a retarded girl to have sex with her, or to have sex with you. You're a fucking rapist, JF. Oh, let's see. We have Appendix 2. What's Appendix 2? I didn't even read Appendix 2. Wow, this girl had her right to vote, incur contractual obligations, obtain a bank account, sue or defend lawsuits, make gifts of real or personal property. She signed over a power of attorney to her fucking parents. Let's see what these. Yeah, there it is. Here's where she got examined by a court documented psychologist. Oh, here's the psychiatrist's report. She has an intellectual disability. okay, let me just zoom in on what she says here. Jacqueline is not. Her issues have to deal with her cognitive thinking and reasoning. Uh, this accompanies people with the autism spectrum disorder. Also, Jacqueline is unable to do this and is suffering from autism. Oh, here we go. Jackie is a 19-year-old Hispanic female who is diagnosed with having autism spectrum disorder and has a speech impairment and was diagnosed by Dr. Jesse Wood from Houston, Texas. She's high functioning and those standards and mom's report, although she does not have typical features found in people with autism, she's been doing well. She describes Jackie as a person who prefers to be on her own and spends a lot of time on the computer, on video games, and watching TV. She agrees that she tends to be more solitary. She spends most of her time by herself and she feels closer to her younger sister. Jackie reports that on 2015, she listened to the podcast The Drunken Peasants. The podcast was done by Jean-François Gariépy. She states that she became interested and they eventually began having communication through the computer on August or September. Jean-François is said to be a 32-year-old man from Canada who is working at Duke University. Jackie states that he lost his job there, that he's currently separated from his third wife, and has a young son that was born on December 29th. She states that he does not have his son with him. She began to communicate with him more and more, and he states that they began having a relationship over the computer. In June of that year, she told him she wanted to see him, and he told her that she was welcome to go see him. States that before she had never been involved in any type of romantic relationship with anybody. She had never been intimate with anyone or had sex. So he had a autistic girl with the mentality of a 10-year-old who had never been in a romantic relationship and had never even had sex. And he took her virginity and coerced her into having sex with him. Come on. And you're the fucking moral fag here, JF? You know the law? You took advantage of a disabled girl. You're a goddamn rapist. She reports that on July 10th of this year that she got in her red Subaru Impreza and drove to North Carolina without letting anyone in her family know. She reports not being scared. She never really thought about the fact that there could be problems. Jackie states that he was nice to her. She reports that she had protected sex with him during her first sexual experience with him and continued to have sex with him without protection. She states that she wants to get pregnant and that he wants to be a stay-at-home dad. Jackie reports that Jean-François is a YouTuber who is now working from home and that he does work translating French into English. She has no idea if he has any money or how much money he actually makes. He lives in an apartment and states that he told her that he was going to get her a cooking show. So JF has lured a girl that is the cognitive mentality of a 10-year-old, takes her virginity, and then tells her that he's going to get her a job by getting her a cooking show. And that he's going to teach her about lighting and editing. She states that she likes him because he's funny and he likes politics and science. She reports that she loves cooking and the idea of having a cooking show. So he has lured a mentally disabled girl across state lines to take her virginity with the promise that he's going to teach her how to cook and set her up with a cooking show on YouTube that he's going to promote for her. This is fucking creepy. Jackie states that her parents want and took her from North Carolina and brought her back here to Beaumont. She reports being angry and upset with them, but there's also the worry that she could be pregnant. A urine pregnancy test was done and found to be negative. She's also had the blood pregnancy test, which will be done shortly. According to Jackie's mother, Marcia, has an affidavit from a private investigator about a situation with Jean-François and a relationship with a girlfriend, Diana Z, where she does not feel that Jean-François is mentally stable. Jackie's mother, Marcia, feels that her daughter, Jackie, is being taken advantage of by this man, and that she is in danger being with Jean-François. She has currently stated that he and Jackie are going to marry each other as soon as he gets a divorce from his current wife. Although he does now think that she is incapacitated, should she be found to be so, then he wants to be the guardian of her, domestic partner and future husband, in his own words. What the fuck, JF? So you're literally stating to the court that if she is found to be retarded or mentally unfit, that you're willing to not only take control of her, but marry her anyway, even though you know that she's mentally incapacitated. You're a fucking piece of shit. You're an absolute piece of shit. You're openly admitting to an investigator that you know that she's mentally incapacitated, and you still want to fuck her and take advantage of her. You're a piece of shit, JF. You're a goddamn rapist. Marcia Castellanos states that everything has been so stressful for her family, but she's worried about Jackie. She knows that Jackie is upset and reports that Jackie is just pacing and having trouble sleeping. She does not understand the potential unhealthiness of this relationship and its consequences. Jackie states that she is tired of being looked at as a child and that Jean-François does not treat her as a child. She reports the problems recently with her sleeping and not being able to go to sleep. Past psychiatric history. She's diagnosed with a pervasive developmental disorder by Dr. Jesse Wood of Houston. She subsequently evaluated a couple of more times as she was growing up. The diagnosis of PDD is now under the autism spectrum disorder. She was seen by Dr. James Duncan in 2009 and diagnosed with PDD and low average intellectual functioning. He stated that she has the social skill issues that need to be monitored and assessed, particularly as those would be more critical during adolescence. He's recommended continued speech therapy at this time. During pregnancy with Jacqueline, her mother had bleeding during the first trimester, so they go on to talk about how she didn't talk until she was almost 3. Toilet training was achieved at the age of 4. Genetic studies were done until she got older. Then they did cognitive studies, and she was functioning to borderline to low average range. Other than that, she had no other problems other than wearing glasses. They talk about her social issues that they gave her. Here's the mental status examination. She reported she had not been sleeping well since she's been brought back with her parents. She reported both problems with the initial and middle insomnia. She reports her mood to being upset, and her effects seemed sad, anxious, and upset when she talked about her mother and father bringing her back. Her thought process seemed slow, but her thought content had no auditory or visual hallucinations. Her answers to questions seemed to take a long time. And one response is if she thought she had actually answered it. She was able to subtract 7 from 100, but did so very slowly by counting on her fingers. She seemed upset and anxious when I asked her to keep subtracting 7 from the answer. What would she get? I asked her to spell Houston for me, and she was able to do it forward, but had difficulty doing it backwards. Come on, JF. This is a girl that struggles to subtract 7 from 100, and she can't spell Houston backwards. And you're telling me...
Keep it coming, ... Also guess, the Kikes race war now.
Thank you for your donation, Chris Harvey. I appreciate that. This guy is a terrible fucking person. This girl cannot take care of herself. She literally cannot take care of herself. She's physically and mentally incapable of taking care of herself, and you are such a goddamn piece of shit, JF, that you're taking advantage of this fucking girl. You're a fucking asshole, JF. You want to sit on your goddamn show to your small fucking audience, and you want to tell people that you're a good guy and that Andy Worski is a fucking rapist? You're a fucking piece of shit. You're a fucking rapist. It was as if she was frustrated and yet at the same time trying to be able to answer correctly. I asked her how she was planning to take care of herself, and she responded that they were going to work on a cooking show. She was not aware of how much money he makes. I asked her about the possibility of being pregnant, of being a mother, and of having to take care of a small child. She stared, was quiet, and no answer was ever given. So this girl is so mentally incapacitated at this point that she lacks the ability to understand what she's doing as wrong, and she lacks the ability to basically make the decisions to become a mother. And JF is trying to tell me that he's not a fucking terrible person, that he's not a bad guy, that he's a good guy that was winning cases. Because he told Andy that he was winning the cases, that he was going out of his way to take care of this girl, that he didn't do anything wrong, that he was uh, an ardent defender of things like that. Uh, oh, okay. Thank you for your donation, strangers with candy. I had to switch to the donation window to see what you said. So he knows that this girl is physically incapable of taking care of herself. Uh, I mean, I didn't say where you lived or anything. I just said your name. I only read it because I have my iPad in front of me and it says the donations. My bad if you're upset about that. I just
Redskin Ray is confirmed. Big nose. Be quiet, tiny dick.
thank you for the donation, Ocean Redux. I had to switch to the other thing. I had the wrong window open. It was just popping open. Um, so I asked her about the ability to take care of a child. She stared, was quiet, and no answer was ever given. Later, she stated that she liked animals and that she has 3 cats. I asked her if she would be able to take care of herself if something ever happened to Jean-François, if he left, and again, she had no response. He's There's literally a court-appointed psychologist asking her, "Can you take care of yourself if JF gets hurt or leaves?" She can't even respond. She denies any suicidal or homicidal ideations. She reports that feeling bored at home, and she states that she doesn't want to go outside. There were periods during my interview where she seemed to get distracted and would have a blank stare until I redirected her. So, for all we know, this girl could be in such an incapacitated state that JF could have sat her down on his bed, taken her clothes off, and she could have gone into a trance, and JF could have had sex with her while she was in an incapacitated state, which means that JF is a rapist. You can clearly see from this court-appointed psychiatrist evaluation that she is unable to even process direct questions. And JF is trying to argue with the courts that she has the mental faculties to engage in a relationship where she could have a child and get married. What? What the fuck, JF? People with ASD have difficulties with sensitivity to noise, light, and texture of things, including food. They're very picky eaters. Blah, 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 blah. The concern here with Jacqueline, who suffers from autism spectrum disorder, is the situation that she finds herself in, which is spending a lot of time on the computer. She's found somebody that she's made a connection with and is likely feeling lonely. As she describes, feeling like everybody thinks I'm a child. Did not really have the thought process to rationalize things like most of us do. Realize that she is physically 19 years old with hormones and has never gotten attention, and this person is giving her attention. She's likely become obsessed with communicating with him on the computer and has developed a relationship. Then impulsively one day goes for someone who has always been taken care of, gets in the car, and drives her way to North Carolina to be with this man.
In this case, the problem is not necessarily her intelligence level, but her cognitive processing and social skills that can get her into a lot of problems. Keep in mind that even people that do not suffer from ASD become obsessed with somebody or someone on the internet and make impulsive acts to meet them. The concern here is that Jacqueline, because of her ASD, um, can be taken advantage of because she cannot read social cues like most of us can. I do not know this man, but another issue with any other man is that he may not be stable, that he could be taking advantage of Jacqueline because of her situation. These things worry. Uh, the things to worry here are that whether or not this person may not be physical, even be physical, but emotionally hurt with and obsessed with wanting a child. In a short amount of time they have been physically together, this man is obsessed with wanting a child with her and is looking to have a child with somebody who has difficulty even taking care of herself. What the fuck? What the fuck, JF? You're literally trying to force a girl who is mentally incapacitated to have a child with you. What the fuck, JF? They have been having unprotected sex, although Jacqueline says she wants to have a baby. She seems to have no clue about what she would do with the baby or how she could even take care of one. Financially, Jacqueline says that she does not know how much this man has or makes. She also does not work and has never worked. She does not have any money. She is not sure what they would do together or what she would do if he would suddenly leave. She does not know how to handle financial matters, as her mother's been handling that for her entire life. She does not seem to have the knowledge or the know-how of how to take care of anything. She does not know how to do laundry, pay bills, fix small things around the house. She is able to take a bath and do most activities like daily living, even though her mom reports that she also often has to remind Jacqueline to do them. She states that she will cook by following a cookbook recipe. As for the question of capacity, an incapacitated person of an adult individual because the physical and mental condition is substantially unable to provide food, clothing, or shelter for himself or herself. For the individual's own physical health and managing the individual's financial affairs, at this time I find no proof that Jacqueline Castellanos is able to provide food, clothing, or shelter for herself. She's not employed and therefore has no financial resources of her own. I do not see her being able to gain employment or make enough money to be able to take care of herself. She does not have the ability to contract or incur obligations. She has no ability to defend lawsuits, blah, 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 blah. They basically say that she is completely and entirely mentally incapacitated to the point that she signed her legal rights away to the state of Texas. She's literally signed her rights away. And JF is claiming that he's supposed to be taking care of her. They've given full custody to her parents. This is the appointing signed by her parents that her parents have signed. They paid a fucking they paid $1,000 personal bond to gain this, and they have full custody of this girl. So at this point, JF is a fucking scumbag. He is a rapist. Let's go back to when he was talking shit again. We'll go back about a minute.
It's not a leak, and he's not slandering you. It's a phone conversation you had with him. So title your video correctly. If there's one thing you should have learned from my months at Warski Live, it would be not to deceive with the title. And so it's not a leak, it's a phone conversation you've had with Jared Holt, in which you don't look particularly intelligent, and Jared Holt just he says nothing interesting, and he does not slander you. And now I am suing Right Wing Watch and Jared Holt. What are you going to sue them for? Do you know what are the conditions for malicious intent in defamation suits in Washington, D.C.? I know, because I know the laws of this country and of countries around it and of the U.S. and of the specific states, and I know the legal history. I know the case. I know the cases from the Supreme Court, from the Court of Appeals, and I know this fucking clerk in Washington, D.C. does not accept facts, although she's statutorily obligated to do so.
So, by the way, I just wanted to point this out. He's talking about the article that Jared wrote about Ian Miles Chong. He thinks that this rapist article was written recently. He doesn't even know what article he's talking about. But he's stating outwardly that he knows about laws, that he's a
There's
genius.
this fucking clerk states suits in Washington, Right-Wing Watch and Jared Holt. What are you gonna sue them for? Do you know what are the conditions for malicious intent in defamation suits in Washington, D.C.? I know, because I know the laws of this country.
As you can clearly see from the court documents that we just spent over an hour going over, he does not know a fucking single thing about law. He tries to apply child custody law to him taking care of a mentally enfeebled woman. And then he tries to cite all of these assertions that he has all these rights that he does not have and got destroyed in court multiple times.
And of countries around it, and of the US, and of the specific states, and I know the legal history, I know the case, I know the cases from the Supreme Court, from the Court of Appeals, and I know this fucking clerk in Washington, D.C. does not accept facts, although she's statutorily obligated to do so. There's a statute forcing this clerk to accept fax submission. But she says, no, I don't. We don't have fax machines. Sorry. There's no place for justice for Canadians in defamation suits in the US. It simply does not exist. It's a sad thing. Maybe when Kurt Doolittle is done throwing his Molotov cocktails, we'll create a better world. But in the current world, what Jared Holt did to you is not defamation, Andy. It is actually factually correct. It is a rape to be injecting sperm unconsensually into a woman.
Yes, JF, it is a rape to inject sperm into a woman without her consent. As we can clearly see here, that on Appendix 2, they have made a severe psychological assertion that this woman, let's go ahead and review this again. Miss Jacqueline is unable to provide food, clothing, or shelter for herself. She's not employed and therefore no financial resources of her own. I do not see her being able to gain employment at this time as she's not able to make money to take care of herself. This is the problem for people with ASD. They make her cognitive and social skills processing a problem and get her into a lot of problems without the right guidance. I do not feel that she has the ability at this time to make informed judgment as to marriage. She is currently unable to apply for or receive government benefits on her own. She's unsuccessful at seeking or retaining employment. She does not have the ability to contract or incur obligations. She has no ability to sue or defend lawsuits. She has no ability to manage property or make gifts or dispensations of property. She has no ability to determine a safe reference, no ability to consent to medical, dental, or psychiatric or psychological treatment, no ability to handle a bank account, no ability to make decisions regarding financial obligations, and no ability to enter into insurance contracts of every nature. She has the ability to operate a motor vehicle, but she wouldn't know what to do if something were to happen except to call her parents. At this time, I do not find her to be able to take care of herself. Now, let's go back.
Maybe when Kurt Doolittle is done throwing his Molotov cocktails, we'll create a better world. But in the current world, what Jared Holt did to you is not defamation, Andy. It is actually factually correct. It is a rape to be injecting sperm unconsensually into a woman.
Yes, JF, it is rape to inject sperm into a woman unconsensually. You had a woman with severe mental impairments come out there because she believed that you were going to take care of her, even though you struggled to take care of yourself, in which you lured her into your bed, stripped her naked, and took her virginity and injected your sperm into her, which makes you a rapist. It is factually literate for me to call you a rapist, Jean-François Gariépy. You are a rapist.
And that's it. Watchdog Media sends $10. He says Kurt's example of the Ukrainian revolution ignores the influence of people like Biden, Nuland, Ashton, and Soros. The revolution, life always finds easy. Life always finds the. There are moments at which it is easier. There are moments at which it must be easier, and it must be even more easy when you are a force of revolution within your nation as opposed to outside. Here, Andy, why don't you not sue Right-Wing Watch? Why don't you sue me? I'm going to say it right here. Sounds like rape to me. Andy, why don't you not sue Right-Wing Watch? Why don't you sue me? I'm going to say it right here. Sounds like rape to me. Andy, why don't you not sue Right-Wing Watch? Why don't you sue me? I'm going to say it right here. Sounds like rape to me.
So, you claim that it's Andy's fault for not doing his due diligence and double checking what Jared Holt wrote, which you did say that. You claim that Andy is a rapist because he pulled a condom off with a girl that he continued to date who didn't care about having sex, and he made a joke about this. He didn't actually do it. He made a joke. He was joking about it. You literally lured a girl from Texas to North Carolina. You had a mentally impaired girl drive by herself from Texas to North Carolina so that you could take her virginity. And then when her family found out what you did and asked for her to and issued a restraining order against you, came and physically got her and brought her back to Texas to get her away from you. You tried to claim that you knocked her up and you tried to force her to come back to you. You tried to force the state of North Carolina and the state of Texas to give you the right to take advantage of a disabled girl. To which you openly admitted you knew that she was disabled, and even if she was, you would still take care of her and provide for her. You didn't care. You just wanted her to have your baby. You say that factually that makes Andy a rapist. Well, then by your own logic, JF Gariépy, you're a rapist. You lured a girl that you knew was incapacitated to come meet you and then raped her. You are a rapist. You are a rapist. And in fact, the state of Texas was so abhorred at the fact that you did this that they had the district attorney's office open a case against you claiming that you're a rapist. It's weird how you never mention any of this when you do these victory laps where you claim you know the law. Well, according to the law in Texas, you didn't know that you can't enter into a fiance or a fiance-like relationship with this girl when you're still married. You know the laws so well, but yet you didn't know that you can't apply child custody law to the custody of somebody that's mentally enfeebled. You're very smart, JF. And I know you like to argue the facts and claim that everything is misinterpreted, but you told Andy that you fought her father and you won in court. No, you didn't. You were denied it. In fact, the state of Texas has submitted everything that they have found to the district attorney's office, and they want you investigated for rape and for taking advantage of a fucking disabled person. Because guess what, JF? You're a rapist. You rape girls that are mentally enfeebled. I will say this again. Jean-François Gariépy is a rapist. He took advantage of a 19-year-old girl who was in a compromised mental state, and he raped her. He lured her to his house with the intent of stripping her down and sexually assaulting her, knowing that she is so mentally incapacitated that she cannot legally or physically consent to something. She was probably not even aware of what he was doing to her, which makes you a rapist. But let's not forget that, JF makes a lot of dumb decisions. Like when he cucked and kicked off Emily off his show for saying something hilarious.
Also in the news, up to 100 migrants, including babies, they feared dead after boat sinks off the coast of Libya. So just this image is quite stunning. It gives you an idea of uh, the kind of boats that people use to get into various countries. In this case, they shored off the coast of Libya, but who knows where they were headed. Uh, that is a very
Hey, if they keep doing this, we're not even going to have to nuke Africa. They keep doing all these boats going into the ocean.
Emily, you are muted. Emily, you are muted. What the fuck is happening with you, Emily? It's like you have the memory of a fucking fish. No, you can't say the N-word. Okay. Well, no, I said that it was not the thing that led to a hate speech strike. But I do tell you now, you cannot talk about nuking various countries for fun.
It's not anybody's fault. But if you get in a boat with 100 people on this tiny floating object and you put some kids in there, if they drown, that's on you. That's your fault.
All right. So, Emily, I will be stopping the show. I'm taking 3 days of break. I'm deleting this episode. And if you want to come back, please think a little bit about the rules that we've talked about. I won't spend every night I interact with you, spending 5 hours just regenerating the video, beeping all of you, re-listening to all of your words. It sucks. I cannot do that. Do you understand?
All right, JF, well, I think it sucks too.
All right, let's read the super chats
I really
before
tried,
we
JF.
leave. Okay, good. Did you have something to say?
I said I really tried. I really did. But I guess I was on my best behavior. I guess it wasn't good enough.
Absolutely. Todd Vine Fresh, $25 says, thank you both.
It's fucking. I clicked the wrong one again. It's like Jean-François says when he talks to people and he does articles. He likes his women like he likes his potatoes, mashed and creamed. This guy is without a doubt one of the most hypocritical moral fags I've ever come across in my entire life. And he's a rapist. The state of Texas has opened a DA investigation into the way that he abused and took advantage of a young mentally enfeebled girl. He is a rapist. He's a potato farmer and a rapist. And that's all I can say about this guy. He's a piece of shit. He has no right to give any kind of moral authority about suing and about what's right and what's wrong because he's a rapist. So we can't take him seriously because he's a rapist. So everyone should go let everybody know, let everybody know that JF is a rapist, that we've gone over the state documents and the court documents that show that he is a rapist, that he is violent, that he is mentally unstable, and that court-approved psychiatrists have said that he is mentally incapable of understanding how much of a piece of shit he is. And we should not take him at his word because he's mentally unstable and he targets and rapes young mentally disabled girls because he's a rapist. And given the fact that you can see his face right here, you can understand why anybody would not want to fuck this guy. Don't you want to have the babies with me in the French ethno state? They can have my terrible receding hairline, my double chin, and my big ears. Have sex with me. I am the sexy Frenchman. Rapist. For somebody who understands the law, you certainly got dunked on in court multiple times. And don't forget, I also am in the process of getting the lawsuit that Miss Z filed against you for you apparently assaulting her because she didn't want to have sex with you anymore because you're a rapist. So good luck using the court system to stop me from saying to everyone, Jean-François Gariépy is a rapist who takes advantage of young mentally enfeebled women in the public space. He is the rapist. And it is not love, you idiot. Thanks for joining me. I just wanted to rant about this rapist. So I hope you guys had a good day. Thanks for any kind of donations you guys made. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys all have a very nice Sunday morning. So let's play some play out music. We'll go with we'll go with this.